Okay.
It's great. It's way up front. When everything's so quiet, I'm like, what did you update?
All right. Thank you for everyone coming out to July 23rd, 2024 Elkhart Community Schools Board meeting. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Anne, would you please recite the Elkhart Promise?
Every student is known by name, challenged and supported by highly effective staff, and in partnership with the community will graduate career, college ready, and life ready.
Thank you, Anne. Next, I'd like to speak about our invitation to speak protocol. When you came in on each of your seats, you found this little pamphlet. There is a section here that you can put your name on and date, and give that to Dora, and we'll call you in that order. When we do call your name, you can speak to agenda or non-agenda items. Please come to the microphone, state your name and your relationship with the school district. You'll have 3 minutes to comment. Please keep all personnel or student or critical information like that. This is not the venue to address those issues. Should you need to address those issues, get with Mr. Thorne or myself after the meeting, and we'll get you in the right direction for who you need to speak with. So at this time, I'd like to open the floor to public comment. Dora, do we have anybody? All right. We kind of know who you are.
I know. I didn't realize I met it's been so long. I didn't know speaking on an agenda.
Yes.
This is what happens when I all of a sudden show up.
Ms. Fine.
We've met.
I thought I was speaking during when you guys were speaking about it on the agenda.
Well, this is what happens when you don't show up. You
Yeah,
don't know we changed. But
we've,
we missed you. But we missed
Did you miss me?
Yes.
Did you miss me?
I always miss you. Always.
I'm so glad. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Linda Fine. I'm a teacher here in Elkhart, but I have a question, and maybe I was reading it wrong. I was going to read again, but now you've put me on the spot. Under the mandatory curriculum, the proposed new mandatory curriculum for government, which is what I teach, so it was what I was looking at, it makes the comment that, when it talked about Constitution, it said that they had to be in the class required, because it talks about Constitution is what it says. It says Constitution's interdisciplinary course. And it says high school principals shall ensure the instruction, but then it says they shall include in the curriculum a required course not less than 1 year of schoolwork in the following aspects of the constitutions of Indiana and the United States. And it goes on to say historical, political, civil, sociological, economical, and philosophical. My question is, government right now is a 1 semester course. And so this is saying no less than 1 year. So I'm confused as to where the rest of this interdisciplinary course is happening. how that's going to come about, who's going to be teaching it. Is it still under social studies? Is it under somewhere else? What's happening? And how do we determine if it's that required course? Because then it goes on to say that they can't graduate unless they successfully complete the interdisciplinary course described above. How that's going to work, especially when we have kids that maybe come in. How do we know what has happened? Is this a mandatory curriculum throughout the entire state? Is this just something Elkhart is doing? I mean, so that was my question as you guys are starting to look at the mandatory curriculum. I just wasn't quite sure exactly how that was going to work, because then again, you talk about systems of governments in American history, which is 2 semesters, which is it has been. I'm just confused about the government and the Constitution part, especially when it says interdisciplinary course. I'm not exactly sure where the other part is coming from. So that's all I have to say on my cuff, because I didn't realize I was going to be speaking at the beginning.
That's reasonable. Hi, it's fine. We've never met. How are you?
Yes, we have. We have.
No, we haven't had a one-on-one conversation.
We have not had a one-on-one conversation, but
That was just me practicing good manners and
Oh,
saying
okay.
hello.
Yeah, no,
Hi, how are you?
we spoke at Juven Coleman's open house when you drove from Indy to here. And
Oh, that's right. We did.
yes, we did.
See, I was
but,
doing,
but it's okay.
I was doing my community duties.
You were doing community duty.
And so normally we don't comment
Yeah.
at this
And that's fine.
at this part of it. But
That's fine.
what I asked
I
for
can
him
go
is,
sit down.
I just asked, what's the best resource for you to get your answer after the meeting?
Oh, okay.
And I was going to actually have you schedule time to meet with me, and I will gladly go over that with you.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Because yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's fine. Well done for catching you off guard. Dora, is there anyone else? No? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on past public comment, and we'll go to Ms. Wagler, your excellent of Elkhart.
Good evening, President Scott, members of the board, Dr. Huff, and the community. All right, we've got that up. So we still have many things going on even in the summer. Academic-wise, at the end of June, we had 7 teams of students represent Elkhart Community Schools at the National Skills USA competition. The teams competed in events such as radio, TV news, production, manufacturing, and medical skills. 3 of the teams placed in the top 15 in the United States, 2 teams placed in the top 20, and 2 teams placed in the top 35. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mr. Weaver. And we are very excited and proud of the students that are exemplifying the excellence of Elkhart. And then yesterday, our kindergarten readiness and jumpstart started. And this is a time for our upcoming kindergartners to spend time in the building, to ease into the classroom environment. And Jumpstart is for 1st through 6th grade students, and this helps them transition from summer break into the classroom learning. So it's a great way for the students to catch up, receive a little extra help, tackling the learning gaps while having fun reuniting with their friends and the school staff. And I don't know if you've had a chance to drive by the school, but marching band season has begun. And so we get to hear all of the beautiful music throughout the day that will continue for the next couple of weeks. Looking forward to a great competition season. Oops. Oh, there we go. And athletics, we're excited to grow our program of robust elementary sports to now include softball for grades 5 through 8, with a focus on development and building a championship culture. And last, future happenings, July 29th through August 2nd, we have Back to School University. August 2nd is the Yes I Can Awards, and August 15th is the first day of school. And as always, feel free to follow our social media, and we will be highlighting our excellence of Elkharts. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Great. As they say, winning is contagious. We were here a few weeks ago talking about our Unified Track state champions. And tonight we get an opportunity to talk about the Indiana High School bowling state champions this year for 2024.
Good evening. Hello, Dr. Huff, President Scott, Board of School Trustees. It is my honor and privilege to recognize champions, right? And so I first say, Mrs. Wagler, we did have some looks when he talked about the first day of school in the back. I won't point them out. That's okay, though. That's all right. But Elkhart High School, we celebrate champions. We celebrate excellence. And we are so proud to have our Indiana High School state bowling champions here with us. And they brought, it was like a tailgate out in the parking lot. There's so many people here to celebrate them. And I think that says obviously a lot about their culture and their family feel. And I want to introduce Coach Don Smith, and then Coach will come up and say some words regarding the athletes, the kiddos, and the program, and I'm sure the culture that he has helped build. But kids, come on up. Come on up.
Come on up. Get up here.
Again, it's my privilege to introduce Coach Don Smith.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I just want to say these guys are one of a kind. I mean, in the community, they really supported them, all the way down to when we first needed our jerseys and stuff. They went out and tried to earn money, and then we had some local people that own businesses that helped us out. And then, just throughout the season, the community has really been behind them. One thing for sure is like their jackets. I mean, with that, they wanted to make sure everybody got their jacket at the same time. And to do that, they were looking at all different places, and we had a lot of businesses that stepped up to help make that happen. And nobody had to pay for their jackets. We had raised enough money, and that was from the community, the bowling alleys and stuff. And that just goes to show you these are good group of kids. I mean, they're honestly becoming young men. They're very young. I have no seniors. So hopefully we'll be back again this next year. That's our goal. I got everybody back except for one that's talking about graduating early. But anyhow, hopefully we'll do this again next year. Everybody's supposed to go through my lineup. I got Wyatt Skipper. He's kind of been our personality on the team. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. I mean, he's kind of our little bit of a clown, but he keeps everybody in check, and he's always the setup man for our anchor, and he bowls fourth. And then I have
Hold on, we have Bling.
Bling. Yeah. Yes.
Awesome.
And we want to thank you guys also for coming through with the rings. That means a lot. I mean, they really earned it, and it's awesome that they're getting their rings. It's something that probably didn't have to be done, but with them, I mean, they earned it. They are athletes too. Then I got Colin White. He was brand new to this year. He had never really bowled any kind of leagues or any kind of, organization of bowling. He just joined. He wanted to be a part of it. I've seen him out at the lanes a lot of times. We had talked in the past, stepped up for us, and really became a good bowler. I mean, he's a great future for us, and he's only a freshman. And then I got, did you get it? Okay. And then I got John Roy. He's the one I'm afraid that's talking about graduating early. He's kind of been our leadoff man, and he's the guy that kind of motivated everybody. He's the one that get us going, starting. He gets excited, keeps everybody going, and when you have that good leader, good things happen. And he was there at the leadoff man. And then I got Lucas Wentland. He bowled the third most of the year. He was the beginning of our setup toward the end in 3, 4, and 5, and kept that ball rolling. And I just want to say that every year he's came to me with a different form of bowling. So hopefully this year he bowled the best he's ever bowled. And I believe that he's found something really true and special. He'll be good. And then I got Lucas Claxton, who has been our anchor, our closer, as he likes to be called. And I'll tell you what, he came in clutch so many times this year. I mean, when the game was on the line, he went up there and put 10 in the pit. And that's pretty cool, man, to have somebody that can step up, and he's a freshman. And then last but not least, is Colin Albright. He's our captain. He was the guy that kept everybody under control, kept them motivated. When the coach got on other guys, he would either get on them first, or he would go over and talk to them and explain to them why the coaches were getting on them. Other than that, I got 2 coaches. One couldn't make it today. Unfortunately, he had to work. And that's Bill Jude. And then I got Matthew Farley, who, yeah, there we go. He don't talk much. But anyhow, he's his first year with me, and he was a true asset to the team when it came to helping with these guys. He kind of brought us a little bit of discipline, which we needed, because I'm a little more laid back with them. So it was a good combination. Anyhow, that's all I got to say. I appreciate everything for you guys taking and getting the rings for them. And man, it was a great year. Hopefully we do it again next year.
So, I have a question, Coach.
Yeah, sorry.
When you win, what's your score when you win?
Well, it's okay. So when we go to sectionals, you're competing and you bowl like so many games. Like I think we bowled, what was it? 10, 12. Yeah, 12 Baker games. And so with the Baker game is everybody gets to throw 2 frames, right? And you take your total score, adds up, top 3, and then we do like a step ladder, 3 to 2 to 1. We won our sectional. We got second at regional. We got 3rd at semi-state, and we actually qualified 3rd at the state title, and we beat our 4th place opponent, beat the 2nd place opponent, and then of course won the title. And we never trailed in any of that.
So how many points did you beat your final opponent by? Is it?
It's pin total, and it was, I want to say it was a total of like 65 pins.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, we because it was a 2-game set for that on the head-to-head for the finals. It was actually all televised on Savage TV, so it's been quite a while, so I can't really recall the exact numbers.
Okay, yeah. My knowledge obviously stops at hold my beer, and we'll go from there.
Right, right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, and no pressure here, gentlemen, but I didn't get here by being good with math, but I understand half the team were freshmen. So there's some good expectations that we should have going forward, that maybe we can see you guys again.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. Counting on it. Yep. Great job, gentlemen.
Country Club Lanes, we practice there, and they actually donate the lane time to us, so that saves us on money. And they also help us with our state fees down the line. So, yeah. So I said the community's been really good to this team, and like I said, they're a good group of guys. And if you ever get a chance to meet them and talk to them, you won't forget them. They're good kids.
Well, and plus, thank you guys for doing a sport that, a lot of people don't participate in, but it's just a good all-American sport that we need to keep going.
Honestly, there's a lot of scholarship money out there for
Yeah,
bowlers.
exactly.
It's actually
Yes.
more than most sports out there, really. I mean, it's a lot for individual, team, doubles. You can earn money, and it'll help with college.
That sport and another sport that people forget about, bass fishing.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, thank you guys for stepping up. Thank you guys for getting the state championship. I look over there and see a bunch of, you guys are freshmen, and I immediately thought, you guys are athletes. Football would probably love you, but then I stopped myself and said, well, if you break a hand, you screw up some fingers.
Actually,
not probably the best for bowling. So
we do have 2 football players on
you?
the team, on the bowling team. So they do both sports. I had a baseball player too. So yeah, I mean, they're athletes. I don't care how you look
take care
at
of your
it.
hands.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah,
I know enough about bowling. I know that's
Absolute
critical.
athletes, Yeah, and thank you, both, all 3 of the coaches too.
Yeah, Matt's there and Bill. I can take Bill's or. So,
Yeah.
okay. So where do you want us at?
Yeah.
They want us to take pictures.
Yeah. Guys, come on up front here. We'll get out. We're going to have no problem being in their way. Yeah, just circle
As
around.
soon as I realized it white, I was like, oh, brother, I know. Wait, do you guys get a state ring too? That's so cool.
We got some winners.
Perfect. All right, thanks. Let's do a couple of this one, guys. All right, thank you. If I can get one.
Okay, now listen, make sure you tell the boys that if they use it too big, go down the hook them up with a little hook, which is it fits the ring better, so that way they actually wear it. Yeah, just go down the hook and talk to them about that, and put a little clip on there so they'll wear their ring. Okay, all right, cool. Bye, guys. Thanks, you guys.
Yep, thank you. Great job. All right, next on the agenda, we have, Ms. Brandner, we have the Project Aware Grant Update. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Scott, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Huff. I appreciate the opportunity to share information regarding Project Aware this evening. There we go. So grant details, just as a reminder, the Indiana Department of Education and the Indiana Division of Mental Health and Addiction applied for a federal mental health grant through the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration to address the mental health needs of students in K-12. We first received the grant in 2021. It's roughly $787,000 each year for up to 5 years. It is a federal reimbursement grant, which means we spend the funds first and then we're reimbursed. And the grant cycle runs from October 1st through September 30th each year. Some of the grant requirements to receive these funds, we have to have a Project Aware coordinator. We have to achieve the stated goals that they've outlined for us, and attend required professional development and conferences, and then report data monthly to PIRE, which is the external evaluator the Department of Education uses, the Pacific Institute for Research and Evaluation. So they have several goals that they want us to work towards as we're using these funds to address student mental health. Just to highlight a few, develop and expand school-based mental health infrastructure, provide professional development opportunities for educators, and I'll focus on the last one this evening, use evidence-based mental health tiered interventions. So tiered mental health interventions provide support to students based on their needs. All students receive Tier 1 mental health supports as shown in green. Some students may require more support and intervention in addition to Tier 1. And at Tier 2, students receive more small group supports to target skills deficits, as shown in yellow. And then there are a few students who will need individualized targeted support and interventions in addition to Tier 1 and Tier 2. At Tier 3, students receive this targeted individualized support shown in red. The Olveus Bullying Prevention Program is our Tier 1 intervention. All students have access to Olveus. Olveus, which was named after Dan Olveus, the gentleman who developed the program, focuses on educating students about bullying and changing school culture around bullying. The 4 anti-bullying rules are embedded into our PRIDE framework. So the rules are: we will not bully others. We will try to help students who are bullied. We will try to include students who are left out. And if we know somebody is being bullied, we will tell an adult at school and tell an adult at home. We have an Olveus trained bullying prevention coordinator in every building to support the program and help lead the bullying prevention efforts in their schools. This year, we had full implementation of the program in all of our schools and programs. And in November, the Olveus representative from Clemson University, where this program is housed and developed, came to our district to complete an implementation audit called the Quality Assurance System. The information showed us where implementation was strong and where we could improve. Part of the Olveus program calls for a kickoff celebration and student leader involvement. So some of our elementary schools brought in box-out bullying assemblies. So this is a company that will provide these assemblies to teach the 4 Olveus anti-bullying rules to students sort of in a fun, engaging way. And then at the secondary level, we have Move to Stand. So STARS Nashville, which is affiliated with Clemson University and Olveus, puts together Move to Stand, which is a student-led group after school, and it's really meant to build student leaders to help anti-bullying efforts in schools. For Tier 2 mental health supports, we have the Building Hope resiliency groups. These are small group interventions that help students build skills to manage challenging emotions and situations. These groups take place over the course of 8 weeks, with each week focusing on a skill like decision-making or building confidence. Rio's Rainbow built out the first resiliency groups with Oaklawn and provided funding to run the groups during the first year. In the first year, 16 students participated at 2 middle schools. In the second year, we've had 30 students at 3 of our middle schools, and this year we're hoping to have 90 students across 3 middle schools participate in these groups. We've had excellent feedback from students, families, and staff regarding these groups. At Tier 3, we provide school-based therapy. So we work with outside local mental health providers to establish a school-based therapy program to increase access to high-quality mental health services. This year, the program has provided over 600 hours of services to students. One of our community events that we held this year was our mental health walk that we had in May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month. We had over 150 participants and volunteers, and we had strong community support, in-kind donations, and also monetary donations to support this walk. Thank you for allowing me to share the work we're doing with our student to support student mental health. Can I answer any questions?
How do you measure if what you're doing is having a big impact with the kids? How does that work?
So it depends on the program and the initiative. With something as large in scope as Project Aware, it's very important that we are monitoring data closely and collecting it to analyze what initiatives will we continue once the funding ends, and what has the greatest impact. So at the Tier 1 level with the Ulvaeus Bullying Prevention Program, we're able to monitor student outcomes based on how many bullying reports we receive. Is there a reduction in reports? They also complete the the Ulvaeus Bullying Questionnaire in December that helps us determine how students are feeling about the culture within their school. It's an anonymous survey. Do they feel that outcomes are improving for them when they're reporting bullying and things like that? So we're able to measure that. At the Tier 2 level with those Building Hope groups, we are able to students self-report skill sets. So if they come in and initially they're reporting, I don't feel like I have a lot of skills in building, I don't have a lot of confidence, I don't know how to make good decisions, or I don't feel like I can recover from emotional setbacks. And then at the end of the group, they also collect that data. And then as far as the individualized therapy or the individualized targeted supports, that can be a little trickier because it really is, there's a lot of confidentiality that we have to respect when it comes to students receiving those services. So we kind of look at other data measures. How many times are students asking to see the social worker for emotional support just overall and things like that? Are students showing up to school more that are participating in those programs?
Another question you kind of touched on it there briefly was attendance. So we know we have obviously attendance is a challenge.
Yes.
Here locally and also all over the place.
Yes.
So with the students that are taking part in these programs, how is that helping with their attendance at all? Is that being tracked at all?
Yes, so we do keep data on that. It has helped with some students, absolutely. It really depends on the program. It's difficult to measure the impact of Ulvaeus since it happens for all students, and then we have smaller subsets that are receiving those Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions, but that does help. Receiving quality mental health services does increase attendance in schools. To quantify it, I don't have a number for you yet, but I hope to have one soon.
Tell me, the Tier 2, I think you stated we started out with roughly 13 the first year, and we're expecting close to 90 engaging. You know, what does that tell? What should that tell us, or what does that tell you about that type of growth and engagement?
Well, it tells us because a piece of that program is it does require parent consent. So the first year, the struggle was there wasn't a lot of word of mouth around the groups. Parents didn't really know what the outcomes would be for their students or what they'd be participating in. So as students are participating in these groups, parents are seeing positive outcome for their kids. They're reporting it to other parents. They're saying, hey, I don't know if you know about this group that we're holding at Northside Middle School or Westside. You might want to get your student involved. Our social workers are able to refer more students to the groups, and Oaklawn has increased their capacity to provide the groups. Okay. Thank you so much.
Next on the agenda, we have the consent items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? I have a motion and a second. Do I have any board discussion?
Sure, we have one retirement, and that is Vicky Kraus. After working 14 years as one of our paraprofessionals, she has decided to retire. So we thank her for her service and we wish her well in her retirement. And then we had many donations yet again as we prepare for a great event. But one is for our social media liaisons, 2 tickets to, and I thought this was kind of a cute name. It's the Board Teachers Conference. It's a training incentive for the communications department. And it was an anonymous donation with a total value of $124.50. Then Simonton Sales, care of David Elliott, donated $1,300 for our girls soccer team. And then as we head into what Aaron announced, our back to school university, I always find this amazing how many little donations that amount to a lot that means so much to so many at the Back to School University. So we have 1 month of CrossFit from CrossFit of Elkhart. Heart City Coffee donated 5 coffee lovers baskets. We had 4 train tickets from Linton's Landscaping. We had a popcorn lovers basket from All Things Snacks, which is actually puffed popcorn now. So if you go down on Main Street, it's a wonderful little small business. Tickets to the Phoenix Performing Arts Show, which the Phoenix Performing Art is in Goshen, and it's an offspring from Premier Arts. Somebody left there and started this. It's a fantastic youth program. We had Ivy and Oak gift basket, $100 gift basket, and the owner of that is a former student. Hacienda gave many gift cards. We had 100 admission tickets to the Wellfield Gardens, which if you have not attended the Thursday night concerts, they are a blast. We had miscellaneous items and gift cards from Jeremy's Construction, 5 Spirit t-shirts from Eastlake Athletics, which also included lanyards, and that was Laramie Kern from Hawthorne Early Learning that solidified that donation. And we had a wonderful 1-hour family photo session, which has a $275 value from Miranda Bear Photography. So far, that's what we've received. So I always get excited at Back to School University and how much we collect for that. So enjoy those items to all that are attending the university. Well, you're welcome, Mr. Scott.
Enjoyable as always.
Thank you.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have old business, Board Policy 9130, Public Complaints and Concerns. Mr. Thorne.
Thank you, President Scott, board members, Dr. Huff. Tonight, the administration seeks approval of Board Policy 9130, Public Complaints and Concerns. The policy presented to you this evening establishes a number of clear procedures for students, parents, and patrons to bring to the attention of district officials complaints and concerns offered by regarding programming offered by the school district employees, as well as materials accessible to our students, whether they be curriculum materials or materials in our libraries. And tonight we are seeking your approval of this proposed policy.
Thank you, Mr. Thorne. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have and I have a second. Do I have any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none and seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have new business, Board Policy 0100, definitions. Mr. Thorne.
Thank you again, Mr. Scott. Board members, Dr. Huff. We have a number of policy changes. The first one and these are just brought to you this evening for initial consideration. The first one is the addition of a definition of personal communication devices to our bylaws that are adopted by the board. This proposed revision will have relevancy throughout district policies, along with administrative guidelines, some of which we'll be discussing later this evening. It is especially relevant to the board policy and administrative guideline governing the use of personal communication devices by students, which will be presented to you for preliminary consideration later this evening. Again, this is brought to you for preliminary consideration. Be happy to answer any questions or hear from you any thoughts you have related to that change in bylaws.
So web-enabled devices include smartwatches, include those strange little pens that people use, any of those devices, right?
Yes, thanks, Mrs. Nolan. In fact, the use of web-enabled devices makes it very clear. We're talking about gaming devices. We're talking about smartwatches. We're talking about anything that a student might have that would give them access to the internet.
Questions? No other questions? We'll move on to board policy 2221, mandatory curriculum.
Thank you. The Indiana General Assembly and through state law mandates a number of areas of instruction that the school district must present to its students throughout their time within the school corporation. Board policy 2221 outlines what those areas of mandatory curriculum that must be delivered to students by the school corporation, and the accompanying administrative guideline provides more detail into the actual implementation of those mandatory curriculums. All of these are items that we're obligated to instruct pursuant to Indiana law. Bringing this to you again for initial consideration this evening, both the policy and the administrative guideline.
Questions regarding the board policy or administrative guidelines of 2221? Seeing none. Did you want to go over the administrative guidelines separately or just?
I just thought it made sense to bring them together so that you can actually see how the policies are going to be implemented in terms of the guidelines. But if there are specific questions related to the guidelines, I'd be happy to answer those as well.
Move on to board policy 5136, personal communication devices, and the administrative guidelines that go along with 5136.
As you may recall, this legislative session, the Indiana General Assembly passed a law which was approved by our governor that limits the ability of students to have personal communication devices within the schools. It gives a number of options to school districts in terms of how they address those particular issues. The option that we are recommending as the administration would be that those devices not be accessible or used by students during the student instructional day. There are a limited number of exceptions. One would be when authorized by a teacher, and this would be specifically related to instructional purposes. So in other words, in the lesson plan for that particular instructional material, there's an educational component that relies on the utilization of that technology during the instructional day. And for that to take place, there needs to be prior notice and approval from the building administrator regarding that. The other two or other three really deal with primarily healthcare issues. For example, if a student has a healthcare reason, think about our students who have glucose monitors and the like, where they might need to have access to that device during the day. And in those situations, one would assume that they'd have a approved medical plan related to that particular issue. The other would be where personal communication devices are utilized as part of a student's IEP program or their 504 plan. Both of those provisions are rights that are granted to students pursuant to federal law, but are really subject also to the discussion within school district officials as we develop those plans. And finally would be the event of a true bona fide emergency. And I specifically wanted to use the word bona fide emergency. It's not where a student decides that it's an emergency. It's really a situation where school administrators have determined that it's an emergency situation where that type of information would be relevant for the use of that device. The guidelines, and I think it's important to talk briefly about the guidelines set forth some very clear guidance in terms of the consequences students might receive for violating those policies. And again, both the policy and the guidelines are brought to you for preliminary consideration this evening.
Have any questions regarding the guidelines or the policy? I have one. The exceptions, and it may be too early, but how would a student be identified as having an exception? For example, a glucose monitor, and how would have we thought along those lines how that would work?
In years gone by,
when a student has that, they actually have on file with the district a health plan. Those are typically worked out through the student services department that would outline those particular issues. Sometimes might be through the exceptional learners department where that information would be developed. So there would be a health plan on file for that student who might have a glucose monitor, might have an insulin pump. Those are the types of situations that we'd be looking at where that would be the case. So it is not a situation where it should be happening without notification to school administrators.
And the reason I was asking more from the classroom setting, a substitute, a teacher, how would they know if the phone comes out, they're monitoring it? I mean, I'm assuming you guys will work something out. I mean, I would think maybe they're supposed to wear their name tags,
Yes.
all the time. So maybe there's some identifying mark on that would indicate that they are an exception to this policy.
That's a good question. I will tell you, Mr. Scott, that at times teachers will also include, for instance, on the class roster, that Doug has the ability to wear this or monitor this. So if you see that, that's an exception to the policy so that a substitute teacher could be aware of that information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That goes off. So that's a note that they have to check. So it goes in and out.
Any other questions?
We'll also be reviewing these with building administrators at our upcoming administrative retreat, giving them an opportunity to have some further commentary on the policies. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have district firewall purchase. Mr. Inman.
Yes, sir. President Scott, Dr. Huff, board members, good evening. The administration seeks board approval to purchase a new district firewall as submitted in your board packet.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. Any questions or discussion from the board?
Why is a new firewall required? Why do we need to replace the old firewall?
Really good question. So we had a 3-year contract with a firewall system called Palo Alto, and they gave us a really good deal to get in the door. But when the 3-year contract ended, they raised the price significantly. So we went to look at the top 3 vendors, Cisco, Fortinet, and Palo Alto, and Fortinet was a really great fit. And so we decided to go in that direction. And it's also the least expensive of the 3 options.
Security features on this that are going to raise us above and beyond where we were prior, or do we have any new vulnerabilities with this new?
Actually, it has a system called Advanced Threat Protection, and so that will help from hacking attempts and that sort of thing, because the malicious folks out there are always trying to get in to our network, and the firewall protects our internal network from the outside network. And so the features of Fortinet are really advanced. We're lucky we have a person who was hired a few years ago who's certified in Fortinet, and we just had another person in the department certified. So we'll be ready to hit the ground running here once we get it approved. Yep.
They developed a software yet that when somebody gets into ours, we automatically have a path back to theirs. So we can do all kinds of nasty things.
We go far beyond that, actually. We have a company that monitors our network 24/7. And so one example, and Mr. Anderson was involved with this, some kids downloaded some hacking tools in one of the labs. And within a few minutes, we found out from the company monitoring our network. And Mr. Anderson, I believe, I don't know if he's still here, but I think he suspended them within an hour. So.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Inman.
you.
Next, we have the agreement for residential services. Mr. England, welcome.
Good evening, President Scott, members of the board, Dr. Huff. The administration recommends board approval of the alternative residential service agreement in your packet for an Elkhart Community School student.
Do I have a motion? Motion. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion or questions from the board? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Very easy.
I'm out. You said quick, it's like I'm moving around.
Next on the agenda, we have the financial report. Mr. Quiet.
Yes, thank you, President Scott, School Board of Trustees, and Dr. Huff. Just some brief statement on the financial report is presented in the board packet. You'll notice the education fund cash balance has moved back up. Our 2 months of not transferring has helped that fund. Those transfers will resume in July, and so we'll continue to monitor that cash balance. The operations fund, you'll see that those levels have returned to expected normals. The large infusion from local property tax in June as expected, and we'll continue to monitor that as well. Per the resolution that you passed last board meeting for the transfer from rainy day funds, that transfer was $484,872.62 from the rainy day funds to the school lunch fund. That will zero the school lunch fund. We also transferred $80,365.14 from the catering fund to zero out both of those funds. So we will have a fresh start moving forward. And as we've talked about in the past, we've put a few plans in place to monitor that and turn some things around. So excited to see that move in the right direction. The ESSER 3, we are moving forward as planned, and we'll spend that down within the allotted time for that grant. So that concludes my comments. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Questions? Hearing none, let's move on to the insurance update.
Yes, the insurance update for June, both month-to-date and year-to-date claims were coming in under expected. So the plan is performing as we had hoped. We've got a little buffer room, but as always, these things are can be volatile. It's a market-driven fund. So we'll continue to monitor that, but the plan is performing as expected. If there's happy to answer any questions.
Got a question. This
Yeah.
was left on the table today. Is there anything different of this that was in the packet, or do you know?
No, that should be the same information in the
Okay.
packet. Yes.
Generally, when we have this, there's a change. So I just want to make sure.
No, it was a little late. We were late on information from our carrier, and so it was updated a little later than normal. But that's the same.
Okay.
That's what. Yeah.
Very good. No questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Next, Dr. Huff.
All right. Well, it's been I want to first thank our technology department and our facilities team this week for their work that they've done dealing with our tornado that we had last week. I'm sure that we have some other members of the board who have different perspectives on that as well. I just want to say hats off to them. They've been working tirelessly to make sure that our facilities are ready to go. So I just want to briefly just say thank you. Next, I would like to look forward to seeing experience in our first back to school university. I know that Mrs. Wackler talked a little bit about at the beginning. I'm excited to see all the work that Mr. England and his team are putting together for next week, a week-long professional development that I believe is not only open to our school district, but is also open to our surrounding Michiana schools as well. That's weird, me saying Michiana, but I guess I'm falling into the cult. But I think we need to also share with our community what we're providing during this back to school university. We have outstanding nationally recognized public speakers who are coming to speak to our teams. We also have over 100 sessions, and I individually counted those sessions today in that pamphlet that are being provided, but not just people outside of our district, but I'm really proud our teachers and our cabinet members are also going to be providing the professional development as well. And then lastly, we get to get back slowly into the school mode. And I know it's been a busy summer on this end, but it'll be nice to see our staff back on campus with that as well. And then I just want to provide some additional context to jumpstart. This week, we have almost 1,200 students who are at our elementary campuses ready to go. You know, little kids come to school ready. There is no off season in the things that they do. So we're excited that we're able to provide those opportunities for kids. I can't reiterate the amount of need that is necessary to make sure that our kids are become not only literate adults but liberated adults as well. And so I'm glad to see that there are no kids who've been denied this opportunity this summer. And I'm glad that we have our teams are there and they are providing outstanding support for those kids. So it's just not about teaching them how to do school. It's teaching what school can also do for them as well. So I'm glad that that is going smoothly. Haven't heard any, never mind, I won't say anything. Everything's been going quite well. So President Scott, that's all I have to share this evening. So I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you. And I just, for your information, if we were, I think, a county and a half farther west, it also, Ileana is a thing too.
That's a real thing?
That's a real thing.
So, okay. They got a Facebook page?
I'm sure they do.
Okay.
I'm sure they do.
I will hopefully not land there, but that's fine.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Huff. Anything from the board tonight?
Well, I just want to thank, of course, always Jason and his team. I mean, throughout, like, since we've known each other, technology is not my thing, but your team, Jake, everybody, you guys, you have a phenomenal working relationship with your staff, and they take great pride in their relationship with you. So I applaud you and all of the things that you do, and Jake and our technology team. They are phenomenal, and we are very fortunate to have you. So, and each and every one of you. And I spent some time like hopping around the city, seeing little kindergartners that I know or that are family members, or I've cut their hair, getting ready to go. And they were so excited. We had all these little kindergarten faces and, hopping on buses and everywhere. And to hear that we had that many Jumpstart students was just remarkable. Now, I'm not the marketer, Erin is, but are we on the news with this and what our back to school university is, or is it in the paper? Like, have we kind of like tapped into that to say, hey, this is what Elkhart Community Schools is doing with back to school university, or no?
We have a Jumpstart with back to school. We have not.
Aaron, could you please come to the?
No, I'm just sorry. I'm not trying to like put you on the spot, but I'm like, hey, Erin, let's get on the news every chance we get.
Yes, no. With Jumpstart, we have been in contact with media with that.
Good.
With back to school, we have not.
Yeah, it's a great thing. It's super exciting. Yeah, awesome. Okay. But thanks, Jason. Thanks, team. Thanks all.
I want to share about the storm last week. It was a rough week for the south side of Elkhart. A lot of our families and students were without power. I know I was out without power for 3 days and it was rough, but I just want to commend the city. They had a very quick response. They had a command center set up by mid-morning at PM Moran. Hats off to Dr. Huff and his team. They provided some meals to our families. I know some of our families had multiple kids. I know I lost all of my food, had to throw it away because I didn't have power. So it's probably pretty tough to feed your family being without power for 3 days. So kudos to Buildings and Grounds, the cafeteria staff, food service, Dr. Huff and his team. It was a great response, a quick response from the district and from the city, and it was a great partnership. And I hope to continue to see those that quick response and partnership between the district and the city moving forward. And thank goodness that we didn't have any fatalities or anything like that. So I'm glad to see a lot of the debris has been removed. I know at least from my neighborhood, I live close to Munger, but if you still drive through, some people are not able to live in their houses because so much damage. So thanks again for the quick response.
All righty. As we transition this year from the 23-24 school year to the 24-25 school year, I just want to take a moment to wear Mrs. Weigler's hat for a minute and point out to everybody that we talk a lot about the excellence of Elkhart, but we had 3 different areas that have come to the 3 last board meetings where we were told that we were the absolute best in the state of Indiana. A little over a month ago, we had Unified Track come and share their journey with us as the new state champions. Last board meeting, we had the announcement that ECS won the state of Indiana's All Music Award for all of our music departments coming together. And then tonight we had the state championship bowling team. So that's pretty phenomenal. I can't think of another time or another school system in recent memory that had 3 separate top tier programs. And that's a heck of a way to start this new team that we have in place. And I look forward to seeing what we do in the future with it.
Anyone else?
Just in an effort to make sure whoever deserves recognition gets it, I just want to make one quick correction to Kelly's long list of achievements. It was actually Laramie Kime from Hawthorne Early Learning Center that secured the stuff from Eastlake, not Laramie Kern.
Thank you for the clarification.
No, I didn't have my glasses on. It's true.
You were on a roll. I didn't want to stop you.
Don't. When I'm on a professional voice roll, never stop me.
Great. Thank you all.